So you made your vision board, you did your visualization practices. Now, how are you actually going to make your goals happen? How are you actually going to instill the discipline to get them done? Hola, my beautiful lotus flowers. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is a community for you. In part one of this reinvention, reset your life video duo, we talked about some of the steps mentally, physically, and spiritually that you can reset your life and reinvent yourself for 2024 or any time that you're watching this. But now we need to talk about instilling the disciplinary steps and the plan to actually make your goals happen and to actually step into your higher self like you want to. It's really easy to daydream about what we want, right? But it is much harder to actually stick to the discipline and to actually plan out the steps in order to make that daydream a reality. But if you can daydream it, then it can actually become a reality. So don't get discouraged. It's all about proper planning, and that's it. The first thing we're going to start with is a manifestation and visualization exercise. This is an exercise that has immensely transformed the way that I approach my goals and my own daydreams for my future self. The idea comes from Lavender. Some of you may be familiar with her, some of you may not, but she releases a workbook every year that is supposed to help you plan out your goals. And this workbook I've done for the past 3 years, and it has made a massive difference in the way that I approach my goals and my manifestations. So essentially what the practice is in the workbook is there's a page to draw your current self and a page to draw your future self. And around each image of yourself, you're supposed to write out traits of your current self and traits of your future self. Now, the goal of this practice is not to cause shame behind your current self. No, your current self is your current self. We love our current self. We all can improve. We can always improve. And this practice essentially shows us the beginning point and the end point, so that way we can better bridge the gap and build that bridge between the two. If you're not much of an artiste and you don't really want to draw, you can just list the traits of your current self and your future self. However you decide to do this, I want you to take a moment, whether it's right now or after you watch this video, to, on a piece of paper, draw your current self or list at least 10 traits of your current self versus a drawing of your future self. How do you envision yourself looking? What kind of aura does your future self have? Or list at least 10 traits that your future self has that you admire about your future self. Once you have completed that, you will have an actual visualization down on paper about where you're at now and where you plan to be. Now we're going to go over how to start bridging the gap between the two. Now let's talk about how to actually plan the goals to get you to your future self. We're going to start first off by writing down our biggest goals for 2024, or whenever you're watching this, you can write down your biggest goals. I highly recommend starting with your 3 major goals for 2024. The reason I only recommend 3 major goals is because time has a way of eluding us and escaping us. And at the end of every year, when we're writing down our goals, we easily bite off more than we can chew. We tend to think that we have so much time in the upcoming year, so then we go write down or think about all of these crazy goals that we can't realistically achieve in the span of 1 year. Now, don't get me wrong, a year is a lot of time if used correctly, but a lot of times our eyes are bigger than our stomach in this way. How many times have you thought you had so much time in a year, then it's already April, and then you feel bad about yourself because you haven't even achieved one thing yet? And
yeah, no, we're not doing that.
We're being optimistic yet realistic here. So let's start with the 3 major goals that you have for the upcoming year. Next to each goal, I want you to write the goal that you have, then right next to it, write down your why for each goal. Why is this goal meaningful to you? What exactly is it in your life that this goal is going to fulfill? Understanding the reasons why we're pursuing certain goals is so important to keeping the inspiration alive to go after that goal. If there is really no actual reason for certain goals that you have, maybe you just think it's something you should achieve, or you're doing it for something external that has nothing to actually do with what you truly want or what values you have, you're going to lose motivation for it. You're going to lose sight of the reason why you're doing it. Let's compare this to maybe loving somebody. There are certain things that we sometimes don't want to do for somebody we love. There are things that maybe aren't the most fun when it comes to maintaining a relationship of love. But we do them, we continue to do those things and make that effort because we love that person. Now, if you have no feelings there, no feelings of love or care or anything, then we're a lot less driven to go to great lengths for that person. You know, it's the same thing with our goals. There needs to be a passion driving that goal, or else we're gonna be detached from it and we're gonna lose inspiration. So it's important to write those down and get in touch with whether this is actually a goal that you have the drive behind and the spark behind to achieve, or if it's an empty goal that you maybe are writing down for the wrong reasons. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos like this one, and so you can go back and watch part 1 if you didn't already. And leave a comment down below about what part of this was helpful to you. I love talking to you guys about the videos and seeing what you guys thought, so let's chat. Okay, now you have your 3 major goals written down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to break the upcoming year into 4 months per goal. So I want you to write in chronological order the first goal out of those 3 that you want to achieve, whichever one you think is best placed first. Then whichever one you think is best placed second, whichever one you think is best placed third. We're going to allocate 4 months of the year to each goal. Say you started a business in 2023 and you want to get your website up for that business. Your first goal is to get your website launched by the end of April of 2024, because that'll have been 4 months towards that first primary goal of yours. Now you know you have the first 4 months of your year for goal 1, which is launching your website. The second 4 months of the year is for your second goal, and the last 4 months of the year are for your third goal. So now let's go to that goal. I'm going to continue using my website example just because, but you apply this to whatever you wrote down. So now you take those 4 months and you're going to break down your goal into month by month steps. Say the first month needs to be dedicated to setting up the URL and actually getting a spot on the internet for your website. So the first month, which is January, let's say, but I just want to say that whenever you're watching this, you can apply this to whenever you're watching. Okay, you can apply this to any goal that you set, no matter what time of year it is. So for January, your goal is going to be finding a hosting site for your website. Get all of those technicalities in place. And maybe this is your first month. Then the second month is going to be dedicated to gathering the content that you want to put on the website. So before you actually go in and design the site and get it set up the way you want, maybe you need to do a photo shoot and blah, 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 or you need to write down what you want to include on your website. That'll be for month 2. Month 3, you're going to start actually putting the website together, actually designing it, building it, etc. And then maybe step 4 is figuring out the last little tweaks and whatever. So month 4 is dedicated to that, figuring out the last tweaks before you actually launch your website. Then once you have your website launched, you move on to your second major goal. If you're a planner and you are already good at time management and you know what you can get done in certain amounts of time, then you could even set 4 major goals for 2024 and apply the same process, but do it in 3-month increments. So you have 3 months per goal for 2024. Now that you have your month Each month has a certain step towards your goal. Now you need to go into each month and break down that goal for the month into mini goals, weekly mini goals. What do you need to get done every week, and when are you going to get it done? Maybe you work Monday through Friday and it's really hard. Maybe you have kids, I don't know, but it's really hard during the week to get time. So your only time to work on it is on the weekend. So you need to schedule time every weekend, a certain amount of hours every weekend dedicated to getting that part of your goal done. So essentially what this is breaking your goal into
Micro goals.
Micro goals and micro steps that are going to accumulate, domino, and lead to achieving that bigger goal. It can be really difficult to even know where to begin when we start thinking about our big goals. So this is the way that I have planned out my goals the past couple years in order to actually make certain things happen. Now, do I fall off? Do things happen? Does life happen? Yes. And that is okay if that does happen. But you can, again, apply this strategy to wherever you're at. If you do fall off, if something in life gets in the way, just start back up where you left off and reapply this strategy and start planning accordingly in order to achieve that goal that you've set for yourself. Now I want to talk about planning smaller goals and habits for your year. I want you to think about what is a smaller goal and or habit that you want to instill into each section of your year. I recommend choosing one small goal and one small habit per 4-month section. For example, say that you'd like to practice a certain language. How can you begin incorporating that into your routine? Start small, such as finding at least 2 or 3 times per week to practice the language for maybe only 5 to 10 minutes, and slowly increase it as you become more and more used to that habit of studying the language. Even though we should 100% be incorporating new habits that are for self-development and expansion purposes, we should also be incorporating things that we enjoy and that bring fulfillment into our lives. Going back to part 1 of the Reinvention Life Reset video duo, I'll link that video here so you can watch it if you haven't yet. Going back to that, I mentioned that for your mental state, it's important to bring things back into your life that are purely for enjoyment. What hobbies and activities bring you pure joy and are not just done for productivity? If you did watch that video, what hobbies or interests came to your mind when I mentioned that? Say that you love to bake or you love to paint, and those are interests that came to your mind. Just like you set aside some time in your routine to practice that language for the hobby or interest that you want to do for your own personal joy. Set aside at least one time per week that you can start incorporating this back into your schedule. Start small because it's hard to get the time to do things as an adult. If you're an adult watching this,
then you know.
It's hard to get the time. And even sometimes when we have the time, it's hard to even push ourselves to do something that we know we love doing just because it simply involves effort. And effort alone can be really hard. Schedule time, at least maybe 1 hour to 2 hours per week, that you can start bringing a joyful hobby back into your daily routine. Like I mentioned again in the last video, this little video duo is not just about how you can logically, realistically, and productively improve yourself. It's also about keeping the inspiration alive to do so. And if you're not setting aside time for things that you love, things that bring you joy, that give you a spark, that feed your passion for life, then you're gonna quickly lose the passion and drive to go for what you want to go for your actual goals and to step into your higher self. Your higher self enjoys life. None of us imagine a miserable higher self. So you have to start by bringing joy back into your life. Life isn't just about how productive we can be and how serious we can be about our goals and the systems that we put in place to achieve our goals. It's not all about that. So make sure you're making time for fun and joy. I hope that this provided more of an easy, actionable, and realistic way for you to start bringing goals and habits into your routine for the new year so you can truly reinvent yourself. Step into the future self that you have been dying to see. I promise that if you break your goals down into smaller bite-sized pieces like I laid out for you in this video, it will make a massive difference in your productivity levels towards your goals. And it will make a massive difference in your mental state, your emotional state, because you're not burning yourself out. You're setting aside the time. You already know your schedule, and you're setting aside the time needed to work on this. So you know that when, from 5 to 8 on Saturdays, are dedicated to a certain part of yourself, whether it's for your goals, for fun, for your passions, whatever it may be, you don't have that burnout and that mental fatigue of, oh my gosh, when am I going to do this? Oh my gosh, I have to shove it in here. No. Life is all about breaking things down into bite-sized pieces and taking it step by step, one by one. And through every small step and small action, that is how we accumulate into bigger goals and bigger achievements. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you at all, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Not only does it help me, but it helps you because then you don't miss future videos like this one, and we can chat more in the future. And speaking of chatting, don't forget to leave that comment about which part of this video was most helpful and which part you're going to utilize the most. I love to chat with you guys and I love to hear your opinions, so be sure to share below. But until I see you all in the next video, thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate your presence more than I can ever express, and I can't wait to go into the new year with you guys. I am so excited for 2024. But until next time, adios everybody.